In this episode of SIME Perspectives, I meet Moonsuk Song. We talk about how Europe needs a wake-up call, that people need to work both smarter and harder to compete globally, and how to find happiness on the other side of innovation. Tell us, what's going to happen in Europe over the next 10 years? Where are we standing in terms of tech, AI, and all those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's time for a wake-up call. And I think there are 5 things we should mention for the wake-up call. First, we don't really have a data center in such a scale as Amazon AWS, Microsoft Azure, or Google Cloud. Those 3 together totally dominating the data center market. And because of that, they have a good infrastructure because they have access to data and can build AI applications and software on top of that. So we also need that infrastructure to solidify our independency to build AI, I think. And we have a huge, industrial and vehicle industry in Europe, especially in Germany. But we're not really leading the electric transformation, I think.
Yeah.
So we need to catch up on that as well. And to do that, we need battery factories. And that's also an empty echo in Europe.
Right.
And to do all this, I think we need to work pretty hard, not less. And that's also maybe the main problem.
Everyone's hoping with AI we're going to be able to have 4-hour work weeks.
Right. No, I mean, if you go in the States, maybe like San Francisco, maybe average work weeks could be almost a double than here in Northern Europe.
Yeah.
So would it be feasible and acceptable for everyone here just to step up and do the grinding to accomplish all the things that we just mentioned?
Yeah.
And if we're not doing this, what will happen with the size of European economy if we're not a category winner within each of these categories we mentioned? Well, I think we've become a smaller economy compared to US, to China, to India, who are in the forefront of these kind of things, or are willing to become a winner within these industries. And we could decide not to do anything and become the biggest museum in the world.
Right.
And make tons of money on entrance fee. It's like a Disney on scale. I mean, it's my understanding that Disney entrance fee is so big that they're funding the whole Disney Plus and the race against Netflix and other big subscription economies. But at the same time, that would be quite sad when you think about what kind of innovations we have built in Europe. So it's a good time to unite Europe, I think. And maybe find a possible bridge with other countries as well, some Asian countries maybe.
Yeah.
And to get enough size of population, capacity, money, and a common agenda.
You know, when you think about, let's say, Europe as an entity, we have obviously Brexit, which is, has its own things. But then, what can pull us together? I guess there's the economic side, but also the political side. They're not all working that well right now, are they? I mean, from my point of view, at least, I see that it's more division than it is coming together.
I mean, you're totally right. Let's say there are 3 layers. One is the working layer, the entrepreneurs and the companies.
Yeah.
They have a certain frequency what they talk about.
Yeah.
How that is reaching the political layer, there's a difference on opinions and facts.
Yeah.
And then when you take that political layer to the media layer, something that started as a big dream to build the largest battery factory in Europe, like Northvolt, became a biggest fail on the media layer.
Yeah.
I think that is not really helping to inspire and motivate a lot of entrepreneurs to do these things that we just talked about. So Trump has helped Europe to unite.
We could come together.
Yeah, we couldn't come together.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is not a wake-up call, I don't know what's going to be a wake-up call for Europe.
Yeah. You know, I heard somewhere that there's a big car manufacturing thing in Germany or something that's then being now taken over by some, maybe China or something, like some one of the other countries is buying this whole giant factory that's been built because they're not able to supply. How important is Europe's relationship with Asia, India, this whole other side of the world, because they've been looking towards the US more, but it doesn't seem to be delivering. So can those relationships be something that can be like long term to help Europe even be more consolidated, or is it something that we should think of as two independent things?
I mean, I think there's a double or triple moral in what, because the perception is maybe that, okay, but you have Tencent as a large shareholder in Spotify. You have Alipay as a large shareholder in Klarna. You have Geely that acquired our Juvel Volvo and created Polestar under that. You have China buying a lot of land in Sweden. Maybe have the largest investment fund in this country. Like we pay tax, and there are certain funds that have to invest in companies by market size, so we get retirement money after age of 65 and so on. And on the top 20 list, you find companies like Alibaba and Tencent.
All right.
So we're already taking their money. We're already investing in those companies, and we're spending our consumer money in scale on business like TikTok, Temu, Shein, Temu, I mean. They're the largest and fastest growing commerce industries in Sweden and Europe. And we try to do regulations to stop them, but it's not really working.
Because we want their stuff.
So the perception is maybe US. And we have a perception on the media level that we're not really liking China. But when each individual go to their phone and home, they're shopping like never before. Because it's the cheapest shit you can find. So, and the difference between buying made in China from those channels and from a Swedish retailer like Rusta and so on is maybe not that big anymore. So it wasn't that smart to outsource everything maybe to certain countries and then believe no one could copy us. And now they're just doing direct to consumer and bypassing our whole retail infrastructure. So, I mean, we need to unite to do something. I mean, but I don't really have the answers. But let's say we would do something like countries like China only could do. Everyone need to buy a phone from this European country. That phone has their own app store. And we regulate and we control everything about that. So instead of doing regulations like GDPR, like Digital Marketing Act, the coming AI regulations, that is only stopping European startups. Because look at Chinese companies. Do you think they really care about that? And does it look like the Big 10 in US is here caring about that? It's like a parking bill when they pay the invoice that Europe sends when they're breaking something. So, I mean, Sweden has maybe most iPhone per capita in the world. And we're paying for iPhones and tablets and computers. We're paying for the service in the App Store. Apple should pay us for giving away every data so they know what kind of service and product to innovate on top of that. Like imagine if we would build our own ecosystem like Apple has done in Europe.
But you think that's likely?
No, not with brute force, plus doing excellent services and top-notch hardware. But like we are without an ecosystem. I mean, China is a whole ecosystem. With Tencent and WeChat, with the big marketplaces. They have a Huawei with App Gallery and multiple other like hardware producers with huge market share. Samsung is basically the only one on a mobile device level that has a global competition. But they are working with Google Play App Store. So there are basically a Chinese App Store market and a worldwide App Store market where two companies controlling 30% of the revenue. Where's Europe? And if you look on the trend, it's look like these companies are getting bigger, you know.
Yeah. It'll
So
be like just visit Europe.
Yeah.
That'll be a place, a destination to come to, spend a few days, and then go away and do your life, right?
yeah, totally.
Yeah. What's happening with e-commerce and all this over the next 10 years, decade or something? What's happening? Because there's a lot of changes, right? We've been in that right now.
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
But what's happening? Where's it going?
I mean, to simplify it, I think of all addressable retail, about 22% has gone digital as a global average.
Yeah.
And if you look at the largest e-commerce market in the world is China. It's about 3 times larger than US, and it's about 3 times the population. Their leap jump is interesting to look into, but it comes from looking into the US market where Amazon launched their bookstore online around 94 or something.
Yeah.
Now Amazon has about 50% addressable market share, and it's growing. I heard that they have more members in their Prime system paying for free and fast delivery than American people has voters. And if you look at Amazon, they have built their own ecosystem. So what's interesting about American companies, they don't leave anything on the table. They're greedy as F, you know, basically, yeah. So Amazon with their bookstore added more verticals. Now it's a marketplace with 50% market share. Yeah. Okay, so they won online, not Walmart. Yeah. But they're not staying there. Like they built an infrastructure called Amazon AWS to take care of their marketplace. Yeah. And now they're opening that data center for all other digital services so they get more data. And then they shipping more than UPS and DHL together with Amazon Prime.
Right.
And now they're creating content in Prime. So they have the same music as Spotify and YouTube Music and Apple Music. And they have movies as well. And they acquire IPs, Top Gear, the continuous season of Lord of the Rings, and so on. Tom Clancy books. Yep. And on top of that, they acquired Twitch for esport. Yep. And if you they close circle. And when you have multiple companies like that, like Apple, like Microsoft, and so on, building their own ecosystems, they have built a foundation how they're gonna take equal size of market share in US in other countries. Yeah. It's their only agenda. Yeah. US are the total winner in the end, but they have these crazy Navy SEAL soldiers in different divisions that is just try to killing the market. And to any cost. I mean, just look at NVIDIA. Who are the biggest customers? Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Meta. I think they quarterly invest more than $100 billion each. Yeah. That's why NVIDIA became like this crazy big. Yeah. And they will do whatever it takes, even if it takes to build another big company, to win the race, to build the infrastructure. It's like Rockefeller built the railway back in the days and became totally dominant. Yep. Now we have a Rockefeller on scale with these, the big fours, for example, and you have the Chinese ones. But again, Europe is not there in the fight. Yeah. So to even jump in the boxing ring to fight with this, we need to do crazy investments. Yeah.
And do you think there's a likelihood that that's going to happen with the data centers and battery building and all this stuff? You think that's going to happen in Europe?
I mean, it could happen. Yeah. I mean, why are Amazon AWS building 3 data centers in Sweden? Why did Facebook build a data center in Sweden? Why are all the other companies, including SAP, building data centers in Sweden? We have the infrastructure, we have land, we have oceans and cold seawater to cool down, we access to electricity. And why do Sweden have that? Because we build companies like ABB, Atlas Copco, we have minerals in the north, and so we have traditional industries. That's a perfect infrastructure for the American companies to build their infrastructure on top of. The question is, why are we letting them do that, and why are not we doing it for ourselves?
Right. Because these big companies, this kind of infrastructure, this industrial approach used to be about industry and industry in terms of like steel and stuff like that.
Right.
But now the industry is online. It's an AI industry. And if we took that approach, we could still be competitive, is what you're saying, basically, and take that whole kind of methodology and say, okay, maybe we're not going to be the fastest at some one thing, or maybe we're not going to control the whole market, but at least we have we're building the infrastructure.
Yeah, I think only building our services on others' infrastructure has a weak point.
Yeah.
No matter what kind of regulation and law, is that they will see a lot. So I think we need our own infrastructure.
Yeah. And then we can sell that out. We can
and let other ones use it.
Yeah,
you know. But let's see what's going to happen. It's very hard. It's becoming a political question, basically.
Yeah. What do you think is the best place to be if you're an entrepreneurial company, an innovator? Where's the best place to be right now? Because these are big questions, right? Building a big data center and stuff. And maybe like, if it's not services, where can entrepreneurs find the opportunities right now, do you think, in the market, especially because things are moving so quickly with AI and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah, sad to say that, but it's a good, or maybe a classic answer, but Silicon Valley, look at their ecosystem. I mean, they build like what they have with the universities, the big companies, and the cash. They have that ecosystem, and they're willing to work hard. So like they attract the brains. The brains work at the largest companies in the world, and some of them drop off and start their own companies, and then they get funding, and they repeat that, and that's on scale. The whole world are sending brains to that area. Someone stays, someone goes home and build another big company. But it's still where the hub is, I would say, to physically feel the scale of AI investments, for example, and the race, what's happening. So yeah, it's hard to find that ecosystem in Europe right now.
Let's say you're thinking, I'm just coming out of university, I'm here, I'm not in Silicon Valley. Is it just like get ready to sell trinkets at the Gamla stan or something like that?
Well, I mean, like for the young entrepreneurs, I think they need role models, and role models they can relate to. So it's kind of, if you look at Shopify from Canada, which has about 10% of the US market, and about 5 million small, medium businesses on their platform, with a total revenue through their e-commerce platform, I think it's close to 35% of the Amazon marketplace revenue. They have grown from 10 to 30 stores in the Nordics pre-COVID until today, 4,000 to 18,000 stores in Sweden pre-COVID until today. And a lot of the startups on Shopify are inspired by the fastest growing companies in the States.
Right.
Like you have the Kardashian family that launches the youngest female billionaire in the world with Kylie Jenner and Kylie Cosmetics. You have Skims that was acquired by Nike recently. And when you see those mega startups growing super fast and with a super high valuation doing crazy exits, that's what you see happening in Sweden now with the Ingrosso family, where Bianca launched her Kaja Cosmetics, for example. So what's happening in the States is happening in Sweden. The good thing is that 0.6% of addressable market is in Sweden. So if you and me would start in US, we wouldn't focus on 0.6%, or not even the Nordics, which is 1%. So you can start a lot of the business that you know has been successful on second largest market in the world, US, and run maybe multiple years before that American company will even come here.
Right.
So we have an open window.
Right.
And so a lot of these kids can relate to, or newly graduated people, they can relate to these people because they're on media everywhere.
Yeah.
So they can relate to that. And they can relate to similar kind of startups in Sweden who are locally famous. And I think that's for example, one way to get like tangible insights, not too complicated. It's about business.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do like R&D and like other stuff.
Yeah.
But Shopify itself is another good ecosystem. They also have an app store. So if you don't want to build like a consumer brand or B2B brand, you can do services for their app store and so on. But on a macro level perspective, to do this in scale, not finding 1, 2, 10, 20 super entrepreneurs, to like do this in European level, I think we need to like make politicians talk like when we grew up, radio channels were talking about the top list of single and album hits. Like we have like the largest economy, US, China's number 2, like India's coming fast up, like GDP 7% year on year, and so on. Like Europe, okay, we have Germany, UK, we have certain, but in total, we are behind these. What do we need to do to catch up the financial growth? And be clear about what's happening if we don't do. To motivate people who live in Sweden or live in any European country to think a little bit what's best, not only for themselves as individuals, also how we can together build something. You basically, I have Korean roots, right? Basically, the president to the ambassador, they basically talk like it was like a Billboard top list. The opening thing is like, yeah, we're like ranked number 12 GDP, that sucks. Like Japan is there, China is there. Like within 5 years, we're gonna be here. And I'm like, yes. And I mean, 65, something like that. Korea was poorer than Ghana. And now it's like almost a top 10 economy with Samsung, Hyundai, LG, and those kind of companies. But they put in the hours. I'm not saying it's a perfect country, but like it's hard to build something like that. Like you cannot, if you're only happy if you don't work and lying on the beach, well, that's a really bad strategy that Korea have. But you know, there could be a way also to find a perception. It's you find happiness by finding something you'd like to work with. And it's nothing wrong to work a lot with something you really love. But that perception is really not the case here.
No. It's like putting your hours in and then get out of there as quickly as possible.
I hear more about what the union's about to do to stop that. How it's so bad for your health, work-life balance and all that stuff. Maybe they're right, I don't know. But if they are right and we're not allowed to work a lot, how are we going to change the things and take up the competition? I don't have the answer then for that.
No, people think that AI now is going to work for them and they're going to sit on the beach, right?
Yeah, which is great. Just ask yourself, who has built the infrastructure for that AI?
Exactly.
Right?
So,
I mean, if you look at how many people used to shop with a computer, a stationery, a laptop, the entrance of the smartphones, tablets, how that kind of went together, larger screens, and like everyone's waiting what's next. Smartwatches, not really changing the commerce. Like there has been like Google Glass that didn't really make it happen, but look how much Meta is investing in Oculus. It's crazy. It's not a 1 or 2 billions, it's like a lot of billions. And are they completely stupid or are they on top of something? Are they going to build something they're going to replace the smartphone? And like, how close are they? And if they manage to do it, who's going to laugh then? Like, they're going to completely destroy it. I mean, Apple's release of their like smart, their virtual, hasn't been a market hit yet. Beautifully done, but not a market hit. Oculus is leading with the amount of sold devices. And they're doing a lot of tricks now to get higher distribution with the Ray-Ban collaboration and so on. So I don't know, but something is about to happen, but we don't know which device it's going to be. Right? So, but someone who's believing in something, because it's always the same thing. No one can argue about this because there are no facts. You mean we don't have the fact. We cannot say like we're going to go backwards and talk about the importance of smartphones. But we cannot go forward in time and talk about something that never happened. And it's interesting that companies like, especially multiple American companies, can do this kind of investments
Yeah, I mean, we still have keyboards.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like surprised. I'm
Right.
like, and they are changing now. It's changing, right, with things like Oculus or even the dictation and stuff like that.
Right.
And maybe the small keyboard simulation on your phone or whatever.
Right.
That's going to disappear, right? It's just sitting there going like this is really old, isn't it?
Right, right.
But we accepted that because someone did it, right? And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, all
yeah.
of a sudden we're sitting there.
Right.
And this, like you say, we don't know exactly what's happening, but every time I hear Zuckerberg now on any kind of, social media or podcast or whatever,
Yeah.
he's always talking about the immersive experience and this kind of stuff. And I can see that we don't really hear everything.
Right.
Like, and when you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe all of a sudden we are going to get something that replaces the iPhone and replaces what we're using now.
Connecting the dots,
Yeah.
like our bandwidth gets faster and faster.
Yeah.
I mean, the battery capacity from Oculus 1 to 2 and 3 is going to be better and better and better, so we
Yeah.
can wear it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, the patterns they seem to have, like how close you can put the screen to your eye,
Yeah.
is interesting. Basically, almost people who can't see can now see
Yeah.
because they put cameras on and they adjust stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe one day it's just a lens.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, but they living the dream basically.
Yeah.
But by investing in something that could change the world, in moving this hardware to another thing.
One last question. If you were thinking of like the big question for the next, time that we're, the next 10 years could be, but it doesn't have to be 10 years, but
Right.
looking in the future, what's the big question and what's the answer?
I mean, I think the biggest question is that what makes us happy? I mean, are we happier today than we were when we didn't have all this internet materialistic bullshit, Maybe we are. I mean, but like, is the young generation where they get instant satisfaction from TikTok and all that, like, and they can barely, it seems like they have hard times maybe reading books or like the slow things. And adding AI on top of that, like making us go backwards maybe in like becoming really good at something. Is that development really going to make humans more happy? Is it just, it's going to make some companies financially very happy?
Yeah.
But are humans going to become more happy? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think in the end, that's the only thing we really care about. So I don't know in which period we were most happy. But every people get a wake-up call of some kind. Someone in their family dies or they lost something that is very, very meaningful for them. And I don't know, if we lost AI, would we like, oh shit, our life is over? I mean,
No,
I think like that's the basic questions. It's not about who's going to win the AI race and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I hope we get happier with all this like fundamentals, access to communication, information, modern cities and healthcare and all that stuff. I think it should be that, but why do we have this insane unbalance in wealth in the world?
Yeah.
Why do we have these crazy problems in many countries where they don't even get clean water? Why can't we fix the basics?
Yeah.
Why are we insanely greedy? I don't know. You tell me.
I think that's the question, is any of this making us happier, and how do we get happy and connect with each other?
Right.
Because that's like, that we have, we're able to connect with each other, and if we
Right.
can do that, then, I think that's the most important thing.
Just the last thing. So if we have, I don't know, 200 countries maybe on this planet, and each country have their own culture, probably their own language and so on.
Yeah.
If there was a way for us to understand each other in scale, maybe we don't have all these problems. But like, if we only live in one country for all our life, and then we see another country, we would maybe by natural reason almost be hostile.
Yeah.
But if like this whole infrastructure would make us like understand each other, the AI translation, real time and stuff like
Yeah.
that, maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting to have the positive perception of
Exactly.
new technology
Yeah.
instead of the negative. You want to have the positive.
Yeah.
But there's always someone that doing something other.
Yeah.
And that's maybe human nature.
Yeah.
Just hope the good side wins.
The good side wins.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah,
I really
thank you.
appreciate it. It was really nice to meet you. And
Likewise,
thanks.
likewise.
SIME Perspectives is written and produced by Roland Williams and Gary Fabbri. Share your perspectives with Gary Fabbri on LinkedIn or Instagram. Support comes from Innovation Pioneers, the collective learning network for innovation capabilities. Epicenter, the power of community scaling ideas into impact. And the SIME Conference, exploring tech, business, and humanity together.